What's up, YouTube? It's Josh Paloth, the RuneScape Felon, finally back with another episode of your favorite YouTube series, Tales from the Jungle. And this time, I'm going to be talking about an interesting incident that happened wherein an inmate got caught having a relationship with a guard. Or rather, I guess the guard got caught having a relationship with the inmate. I don't know how they would legally view it, but I think it's pretty interesting personally. So, as you all know, maybe, I did the vast majority of my first sentence before I went back on violation at FCI Talladega, Alabama, medium-high security prison. FCI being Federal Correctional Institute. It's the medium-high security version of the same prison that FPS Russia went to. He went to the minimum security camp next door where they wear the green jumpsuits. I had the khakis on. But I was at Talladega. I was there for about 26 months total. And it was the rougher of the prisons that I went to. It was pretty rock and roll. And I think that so far, maybe every single Tales from the Jungle that I've told so far happened at Talladega. Now, if you had your head on your shoulders correctly, and you weren't just a goon and a young knucklehead with nothing to lose that just has a massive ego, it really wasn't that bad of a place. It was okay for you to be able to, just stay out of the way, do your time, hang out with your people, and just stay out of the way. But obviously, at every prison, there's a massive drug trade. I slept at, I think, 11 different spots during my incarceration between transfers, county jails, and prisons. And every single one of them had drugs. Every single one had drugs. Every single one had cigarettes. It just depends on whether or not you're willing to pay the price. People always ask me how they get in. It's popular for them to come up with tricks for visitation room, with families slipping it to you. But I would say that the bulk of it comes from crooked guards, from crooked COs. They bring in most of the drugs and cigarettes in prison. I mean, it's an extremely, extremely profitable industry. If you're already a prison guard, when they don't check your bags, you pay, $6 for a pack of cigarettes on your way in, if you live in the South anyways, $6 for a pack of cigarettes, and you can go immediately sell it for $100 in prison instantly. So, I mean, very profitable. It's more common than you would think, and especially when I went back on violation to the low security prison at Forest City, Arkansas, that place was so insanely corrupt that meth was street price inside of the prison. It was the most corrupt, insane prison at a low security, by far worse than the mediums that I was at. So anyways, every now and then, guards get caught or, inmates snitch. In this case, both. But there was a guy in our unit. What am I going to call him? I'm going to call him T. That's short for what his nickname was. But his name was T. And he was kind of a stupid guy, kind of the stereotypical young prisoner. He was a light-skinned black guy, really tatted up. He was kind of stupid. He worked in the kitchen and he was always hustling and selling chicken that he brought back or whatever. It was obvious that he really wasn't doing much. It was clear that he didn't have a lot of family support, which a lot of people don't, and he was trying to do his hustle to stay alive in there. He was always kind of one of those, oh man, let me get a stamp, let me get another stamp, man, hook me up, man, round it up, bro, I got you next time, man, mess with me, I'm gonna mess with you too. He was kind of one of those hustlers, that's not really confident in the hustle alone, that he's kind of always looking for a little bit extra for you to hook him up some way, when in reality he's not going to hook you back up. He's kind of just like, just a nobody, just kind of a downtrodden guy, I guess you could say, as most of us are in there. So anyways, this guy was pretty well known for, being like a minor hustler. He didn't really have much. He tried to work for what he had to a certain extent, and he asked for a lot of help and stuff like that. And he'd tell you a price and ask if you could hook him up with a little bit extra and stuff. But anyways, he was kind of a minor player in the prison hustle league, And all of a sudden one day, T started selling cigarettes. And when I say cigarettes, I mean a third of an actual cigarette. You take a cigarette, you cut it into 3 pieces, sometimes 4 if supply is low, and sell each piece of that for $5 each. Well, all of a sudden, this dude just had unlimited tobacco, right? He just was selling all the cigarettes in there. So he'd sell, a third of a cigarette for $5 flat. You could roll it up in, some people use Bible paper. You can put jelly or syrup on brown napkins, like those brown, cheap bathroom napkins, and smoke that. It'll burn really slow. All of a sudden, T was selling all the cigarettes. This, of course, was a little bit suspicious to those of us who knew him because you pretty much needed a pretty substantial initial investment to get involved in high-level cigarette selling like he was doing. So all of a sudden, he just had all the cigarettes, man. And then he started selling K2 Spice, which is a synthetic weed. If you've heard of Spice, we call it K2 in there, Tucci or whatever. Tunchi, some people pronounce it with an N. Which varies in strength from people smoking and saying, I think I have a buzz, to people taking one hit of it and basically having a seizure and screaming and tearing their clothes off and pulling their hair out. It varies in strength. But all of a sudden, he was selling good K2. He was selling good cigarettes. good fat cigarettes, good price. He was doing an honest hustle by that point. And several of us were very confused about where he suddenly started getting this, this supply. Now, I personally didn't care. I just wanted some cigarettes, but it's still something, people chat about in the cells, like, man, how's he doing that? I wonder, man. But it's not like we're going to go investigate him or anything. In retrospect, it's very funny to me because he portrayed himself as being just such a hardcore gangster. He's always walking around, with his shoulders up and what up and all that. He just acted like he was so tough. And turns out he wasn't the guy he was pretending to be. Funny, that happens in prison. So one day it was about the time that he was supposed to be coming back from his job, working in the kitchen. He's a cook in the kitchen. And the move was ended. Like, they do recall for a lot of the workers. Everybody has to come back to the unit. We get counted like cattle. We got to stand up, get locked on our cells, stand up. They count all of us, make sure nobody escaped. Well, he didn't come back when it was lockdown time. When somebody doesn't come back at lockdown time when they were supposed to, that means they're in the SHU. They're in the special housing unit, the punishment bay. They had to get in some kind of trouble for them to not be coming back. Needless to say, at this time, the other kitchen workers were trickling back to the unit, getting ready for count time. And they were grinning like hyenas. I mean, they were just cheesing, just laughing and joking. And everybody's waiting on T to come back so they can ask, about buying some cigarettes or some K2 or whatever. And they come in. Hey, man, where's T? He ain't coming, bro. What do you mean he's not coming? He ain't coming back, bro. So let me backtrack a little bit, give a parallel story here, and we'll catch up to where they meet in just a moment. Obviously, I would go to chow. You would go to the chow hall. And like I said, T worked in the kitchen. Well, it turned out the kitchen supervisor was a flamboyantly gay black man that was from Birmingham. He was wearing these like super high top glitter Nikes. He kind of held himself like this. I'm not making fun of gay people. I'm not homophobic at all. I'm just, laying out the scenario for you. I couldn't give a damn less if somebody's gay or straight or whatever, man. I mean, as long as you're not, killing people or touching kids or stealing or, being a scummy person, I'm not going to judge anybody. This dude, I mean, the second that I saw him, it was obvious that the CO was gay. He's a blue shirt, meaning he was a guard. He worked there. He was like one of the supervisors in the kitchen, if not the supervisor of the kitchen. And he was very, very gay. I mean, it was obvious. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. I mean, good grief. High top silver glitter Nikes, and the way that he was holding himself, he would scan our cards. That's how you pretty much see all the kitchen workers. You have your prison ID. Just like this right here. You have your prison ID. That barcode right there, they scan it when you go through the chow hall so that everybody only gets one tray and they can't go back through the line multiple times, So you scan your prison ID, and this dude was most of the time, he was the scanner on the side of the chow hall that I went to, which was the white side. It was a white side and a black side. It wasn't strictly enforced or anything, but it was widely agreed upon that it would be better for everybody if you just stuck to your side of the chow hall. So this dude used to scan the IDs pretty often. I'd seen him. I mean, it was very obvious to me that he was a gay guy. I couldn't give a shit less about that, but he was T's boss. You seeing where this is going yet? You seeing where we're going here? Well, as it turned out, while they were in the kitchen, all of a sudden, on this day, T had disappeared temporarily. And a CO was walking around, not the gay guy. He was missing too, conspicuously. He went into some back room, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to get an extra box of meat or some vegetables or something like that. And he opened the door, and he found them in the act of making love. Now, some people would say, well, hey, T's doing his thing, if he's got to, let a dude slap it around a little bit for him to get his hustle on, that's a little bit, it's a little more understandable. But it turns out that T was in the receiving position of what was occurring in this particular vegetable closet. Yeah, you're real tough and hardcore now, ain't you? Walking around making fun of gay people and, oh, punk this, punk that, when he's in there. Yeah, good job, T. So it transpired, of course, that this CO had been bringing illicit substances into the prison and giving them to T in exchange for, presumably, their relationship. Now, I did a very, very slight amount of research for the first time ever on this topic whenever I was doing this video, and I actually found a news article about this happening, but I can't find anywhere that says anything went farther than this. I can't find where it says he was actually prosecuted. I can see where the guard was charged, because the guard was actually arrested on site and taken to the local county jail for booking. T, on the other hand, was already in prison, so he was simply transferred to the SHU, the special housing unit. Now, around this time is the same time that I was in the SHU shortly after the stabbing. This all happened around the same time. If you watch my other video, I witnessed an attempted murder. I was in the SHU for the rolling papers, and while I went, this is 2-3 days later, I went to the SHU for that. So this all happened around the same time as that. T was in the cell like 4 down from me on the range. Like, I mean, we could holler through the door and hear each other, you know, he was really close. And I cannot tell you how many times this dude had the warden of the prison at his door, where they would then pull him out of the cell and bring him into a private room with him. It became obvious very, very quickly that T was snitching on the guard and telling them everything in exchange for a reduced sentence. There were multiple times during my time next to him in the cell over that I heard him telling them they had to pull him out because he had swallowed a balloon full of drugs and it popped inside of him. He thought he was falling out. He kept coming up with these excuses to get out of the cell and into a small room alone with the guards. Another fun fact is that he didn't wear the typical orange Jackie Chan type jail shoes that they make you wear in the shoe. He had on his compound sneakers. They were giving him a little bit of special treatment. I ended up getting released from the shoe a few days later, obviously. I mean, I think I was in there for like maybe 8 days, 2 weeks total for this rolling paper violation. But we saw on the news the picture of the guard, the CO, that actually was the perpetrator of this incident. And they were saying that he was facing up to 15 years in prison. I'll put the link to the news article down below, but like I said, I couldn't find anything else on this. It could be because it's a very common name, but it is obvious when you read this article that T told them everything. I mean, we're talking about specific numbers, we're talking about the substances, we're talking about exactly how this went down. It's right here in the article. It's a very, very short article, and I could not find any more information on this, so I'm guessing that they let the guy off the hook because, as the Latin phrase goes, quid pro something, 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 who will guard the guardians? The people in charge don't answer to anybody, and they can do essentially whatever they want. That's how the FBI operates the way that it does. They can do anything that they want, and it's up to you to, you know, you just got to deal with the consequences. There's nobody above them that you can go to who will guard the guardians. So I'm guessing that the CO got off with a slap on the wrist. People were heckling T so bad in the shoe, yelling through the doors. That's the way you have to talk to each other in there. You just lean down to the crack in the door, or there's holes in the door for you to be able to talk to the COs. But if you yell, you can pretty much talk with most everybody on your range. People were heckling him really badly, so he actually ended up getting moved to a cell by himself off in like a distant corner of the shoe where there weren't really that many people, and he was still coming out almost every single day. Now, I'm not sure which is which, but I can only assume that he got the same exact time reduction that the child molester that told on me got for his. There's 2 different popular ways of cooperating with the feds that would result in a sentence reduction. One is called a 5K1, one of them is called a Rule 34. If I'm not mistaken, one of them means that you're pre-sentenced, whereas another one is going back from prison to snitch on people. So I'm honestly not sure exactly what he would have gotten, but the popular opinion was that he was definitely getting a time reduction of some sort for this. Clearly, he was not going to be able to show his face on the yard again, so they sent him to another prison later on. I have no clue what happened to him. I don't know his real name. I don't know his federal inmate number to try and find out what happened or where he went. I can tell you this much: judging by this article, he definitely cooperated. And if he wasn't getting a sentence reduction, there was no reason for him to tell them his mechanics and his methods and how it went down. But he clearly spilled the beans and sang like a bird, because there's specific numbers here. And I promise you that the prison guard did not confess to every small detail of exactly what they were doing. This is one of the very few confirmed instances where I'm 100% positive it really happened, that an inmate and a guard did have a sexual relationship with each other. Now, there have always been rumors, and there was a pretty sketchy little suspicion going around at the next medium security prison that I went to, which was Marianna, Florida. But this is the only time that I can remember off the top of my head right now that this was completely confirmed, factual. We know it happened. It went down that way. T was taking it. So I hope that gives a little insight into all the people that ask about drugs and contraband coming into prison, because that is a very common way of it happening. They just normally keep it a little bit better than that. I guess that they just could not resist the urge to jump off in that vegetable closet and hop on the good foot and do the bad thing, just standing up in the vegetable closet. But it got them caught that day. I cannot find anything that says that the guy went to prison or that he was prosecuted any further than this one article, and after I saw him on the news, I'm sure that he got off with a slap on the wrist, whereas T himself obviously received a sentence reduction. So I'll put the article in the description down below if you want to read it. It's like a paragraph, but it's exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, everything is going beautifully, man. Twitch has been going great. My daughter is healthy and she's happy and she's whole. I wasn't able to do a YouTube stream yesterday because she was kind of cutting up and crying, and I didn't just want to leave my wife and my daughter in there by themselves for me to come in here and stream. I had to help my family, man. My wife and my baby are my priority. If YouTube and Twitch just suddenly stopped working, I would go back to cutting furniture, whatever I had to do to support my family, man. So obviously my family's first. So I apologize if anybody was really let down by that, but there was a good reason for why I wasn't there yesterday. Twitch has still been going really well. I'm playing a lot of RuneScape on there. Sometimes I'm doing Halo and sometimes I'm doing Overwatch. My Twitch is www.twitch.tv/jpalalt. Finally getting a little bit better at saying that. And all the other links are down below. I've got a Discord server. Come kick it with us. If you play RuneScape or you want to play RuneScape, there's a ton of RuneScapers in there. We will help you. If you do play RuneScape, my RuneScape name is TheRS Felon. I hang out in the Tan clan chat, so feel free to join if you're a member. You got 150 total. Come hang out with us. It's totally open, you know. Everything's going great, guys. The Instagram and the Discord and all that good stuff are down below. I got the tweet. Just come check it out. Support, man. Much love, everybody. I hope you guys have had a beautiful, beautiful week since I've been gone. It's been going amazingly for me, as I'm sure that you can imagine. We're still getting used to having a newborn. She's, hungry a lot, and she has dirty diapers a lot. But she's my little pride and my joy. And my girls are my life and my world right now, y'all. So I love y'all very much. I hope you guys are staying safe right now, staying smart, being careful, washing your hands, wearing your mask, etc., etc. I know they're easing restrictions here in America, but people are already protesting them anyway, so it's probably not that big of a difference. But if they're not easing restrictions where you are, just remember you're saving the world one person at a time by not contracting the virus and giving it to 50 other people. I love you guys, man. Y'all have a beautiful, beautiful week. I'll be on Twitch all this week. I'll be Sunday streaming on YouTube. And, of course, Monday upload every single week. I hope you guys enjoyed this installment of Tales from the Jungle. Number, I'm not sure because I haven't looked at my screen today and I've done a lot of these. I love y'all, man. You have a beautiful week.